Hi, welcome. Today we're going to talk about how to make saint dolls, specifically how to make kind of just the basic outline portion of the saint, so then you can add on to it to create that saint. Now this is a really great pattern because A, it's easy. You notice there's no legs. This is only two pieces, the whole body, and then the arm is all one piece. So it's really easy if you're not wanting to have to sew or do a super fine small pattern as I've seen most dolls are when it comes to crochet. This is a pretty easy doll in comparison. It's closer to the structure of maybe like a teddy bear. It's pretty easy to make, and then it gives a kid some kind of physical representation of the saint and lets them have something to play with. All you'll need for this is you need a 4mm hook, scissors, a yarn needle, and then worsted weight yarn. Now I use this yarn. It's really great. I don't get a lot of different skin tone colors, which I don't like. However, it's a really strong yarn that I seem to put up with even me making dog toys out of it. A dog hasn't been able to destroy it. It also has been really great because it's very, very soft. Another great thing about this is it shouldn't be a choking hazard if you have everything sewed in correctly, and they're just really great dolls for just about all ages. So let's get started. Once you have a chain 26, you're going to skip the first two and single crochet into the third. And you're going to go all the way down through this row. And go ahead and pause your video and then I'll continue. Now that I'm done with that row, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to single crochet into every stitch all the way across again. And again, I'm going to go ahead and just pause the video. All right, now that I've done with that row, I'm going to continue and do 2 more rows, just like previous. And I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. And once I've completed the other 2 rows, you should end up having 4 rows of single crochet by the end. All right, now I have finished. I have 4 rows of single crochet. I'm going to go ahead and knot off. I got that a little twisted up, but I'm going to go ahead and knot it off and cut. I would cut a piece about twice as long as what the arm is. You're then going to take your needle and we're going to sew both sides together to create a rounded kind of shape. Alright, I'm going to go and pause the video, but keep going until you're all the way down to the very end. Now as you can see, I've sewn all the way through, so I've got this nice tube. You should have a hole on either end, and you're going to keep that because we're actually going to use that to make the hands later. And go ahead and tie off. I'd advise not cutting anything off. You cut off your loose ends yet, because if you're going to have your saint holding anything, this extra string is going to be nice to be able to help you sew those in. But eventually, once you're finished, you'll obviously tuck these inside of the arm and cut. But all right, now we can get started on the head. And the rest of the body is actually all going to be one big piece. We're going to create 2 big holes on either side, and that's where our arm is going to slip through. And the rest of it will all be one piece. So go ahead and take whatever yarn you're going to be using for the color of their skin. You can make a slip knot if you would like to, or a magic circle. crochet 2, and then in the second one you're going to put 6 single crochet stitches. All right. Pull the other end, close up that hole, and you should have 6 stitches around. Now you're going to put 2 in each. So now you should have 12 stitches all the way around. Now for our third row, we're going to go ahead, notice I'm not doing slip stitches into the following row, I'm just going around in rounds. So now for the third, I'm going to do an increase every other stitch. So first stitch, just 1 single crochet, and then the next stitch, I'm going to put 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And then you're going to complete that all the way around until you have 18 stitches. All right. Now again, I'm not going to do a slip stitch, I'm just going to be continuing. Now we're going to repeat this pattern, 1 single stitch, and then a single stitch in the next stitch, and then I'm going to have 2 single stitches in the third. And you're going to continue that all the way around until you have 24. Now once you've gone all the way around and you have hit 24, you're now going to do 3 single crochet stitches and then 2 in the next one. So 1, 2, 3, and then 2 single crochet stitches in the fourth stitch. And you're going to go around all the way until you hit 30 stitches. And now we're going to go around and make 4 single crochet stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2, 4, and then 2 in the next stitch. You're going to go all the way around till you have 36. All right, now at the end you should have 36 stitches all the way around. Now what we're going to be doing is you're going to do a single stitch all the way around for 6 more rows. So I would use either some extra piece of yarn or something to kind of make a note of where this is starting. I'm going to use actually the tail piece that I have and pull it up to be able to use it so I can keep note of where my last stitch was. So you're going to single stitch all the way around for 6 rows. And I'm going to go and pause the video. All right, now I've completed my 6 rows single crochet. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start doing decreases. So you're going to do 4 single crochets, and then you're going to do a decrease, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. You should have 30 stitches by the end. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. All right, now that I've finished my first row of decrease, I should now have 30 stitches all the way around. Now what I'm going to do is every other stitch I'm going to do a decrease. So I'll do 1 single crochet, and then I'm going to do a decrease. And I'm going to continue this all the way around for 20 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. And now I should have 20 stitches all the way around. And so now what we're going to do is you're going to do 1 single crochet, and then you're going to do 5 decreases. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then you're going to do another single crochet, and you're going to do 5 more decreases. And if you count all the way around, you should have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops, I must have done it too many times. I'm going to fix mine, but at the end you should have 12. All right, so I fixed mine. I now have 12 stitches all the way around. Now, if your fingers are a bit bigger and it's a bit harder for you to stuff, this might be a good time to start stuffing the head. If not, you could go probably one more round. I normally go one more round. And so what we're gonna do is we are going to go with every other stitch until we have 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and now I should have 8 stitches all the way around. So now for sure you want to go ahead and stuff your head. So I'm going to go ahead and pause my video so I can do that. Alright, now that I've finished stuffing my head, I'm going to make the neck. So if you're doing a saint that might have a collar of some sort or have something around their neck, this would be a good time to change into that color, such as a priest. They have a specific color around their neck. I would go ahead and switch over to that color. For right now, again, this is going to be Our Lady of Lourdes. So she just has her neck. So I'm going to keep it with her skin tone. And you're going to go around and do 2 rounds of single crochet. And it's going to be 8 stitches all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and alright, now as you can see, I've done 2 rows of single crochet for the neck. So it's 2 rows of 8. Now this is the one time I am going to go ahead and do a slip stitch, and I'm going to change into the yarn I'm going to be using for her dress. So I'm going to skip one, and then I'm going to add in my new yarn, which is white, because I'm using a white dress. But remember, you're going to be changing into whatever color is needed. Alright, now I did not get a video of what I was doing here. However, after we finished that neck, I did a slip stitch into the following one and changed into a new color. And I changed into white because I'm making a white dress for this specific saint. But remember, you're going to be changing into whatever color you need for their dress or robe. Now after that, we had 8 stitches around. You put a single stitch, 2 single stitches into every single one, and you had a row of 16. And then you're going to do the next row, you're going to have 1 single stitch and then 2 stitches in one, an increase single stitch. So by the end, in those 2 rows of that tunic color, you should have 24 stitches all the way around. All right, now that we have her shoulders kind of, we're going to create this row here that creates the hole for the arms to come in. So remember, we still made her arms earlier. We'll add hands later. But now we've been doing single stitches the entire time. Now we're going to be doing double crochets. So we're going to do 11 double crochets. I'm going to go and pause the video. Now after you have 11 double crochets, you're going to do chain 1, you're going to skip the next stitch, and then in the following stitch, you're going to do again 11 crochets all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. All right, now that we have another 11 stitches, we're going to chain 1, skip 1, and then we're going to do a single crochet. After after this, you're just going to continue on around with single crochets. All the way around, you should have 24 stitches. So go ahead and do one row of single crochets all the way around, completing 24 stitches. Pause the video. All right, so now I've gone all the way around, 24 stitches, single crochet all the way around her. Now I'd advise at this point to go ahead and pull through her arms so you can see the holes that we created before. I stick my needle in and then grab the loose end that we had on our arm, pull it through, and then pull it through even further. And now she's got arms. We will be sewing these holes. You can see in this one here, there is a hole all the way around. But once we start working on her specific pattern, everything around her, we're going to be kind of sewing this arm in all the way around so that there are no holes. So I know this doesn't look great, but we will be sewing it in. You do want to make sure that the arms are even, or at least mostly even, until once you sew them in, you need to make sure they're absolutely even. And we'll add in the hands as well later. But for right now, you have multiple options that you can do. You can do just 11 more stitches just like that, and it'll create kind of this straight shape. However, sometimes if I'm doing a saint that's going to have a belt, I like to taper it in, and you can taper it in slightly or you can taper it in more dramatically. If I'm going to be putting an extra belt on top of her, I normally kind of make it a little bit tighter just because it's a lot easier. I'm going to be doing that with this doll. However, if you're wanting this straight look, just go ahead and for the next 11 rows, make single crochets all the way around. However, if you're wanting to get kind of this tapered look, go ahead and follow the rest of the video, and I'll go and show you how to do that with this one here. All right, now to do that tapered look, I'm gonna go 2 single crochets and then 1 decrease. And I'm gonna do that all the way around. We're actually gonna do this exact same pattern for 2 rows. So go ahead for 2 rows, 2 single crochets, and then 1 decrease. I'm gonna go and pause the video. All right, now after you've gone all the way around, you should have 14 stitches. Now you're going to just do 1 single crochet row all the way around for 14 stitches. Also, I do want to point out that you can go ahead and start stuffing if you'd like. Make sure to really stuff in that neck. If not, the head can kind of wobble around a bit. But the more you can stuff in that neck, the better. All right, now that I've done my single stitch all the way around, I'm going to do single stitch in 1. And then I'm going to do increases until I get all the way to the other side of her body. Then I'm going to do single stitch and then increases all the way until I get 24 stitches. All right, now, so we're on the 5th row. We should have 24 stitches all the way around. We're going to continue on until we get to 12 rows, basically under kind of where the armpit is, all single crochet. We should have 12 rows. So this is starting now on my 5th row. And I'm just going to do single crochets all the way around. Now, if you're looking at this and you're realizing you want a doll that's maybe longer or taller, you can of course add on more rows as you would like. But I normally just stick to about 12. It creates, in my opinion, a good size. But that's all up to you. So go ahead and get all the way, so there's 12 rows, and you're starting now on your 5th row. All right, so now I've got, now I've got 12 rows from the armpit, that first single crochet, all the way up to the top of 12 rows. Now you might have done this earlier, you might have just done it straight, so there's no kind of figure, and you notice here I kind of brought it in because I'm going to be adding a belt in there later. But at this point, everyone should have 24 stitches all the way around. Now what you're going to be doing is you're going to do a, you're going to go into the front loop of each stitch. You're going to do a single crochet into the front loop. And then you're going to do a decrease into the front loops. And you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So again, single crochet into the front loop, and then decrease into the front loop. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. All right, now this would be a good time to start stuffing, especially if you need to stuff in the neck. Remember, make sure you really stuff the neck so that our head doesn't just fall around. So we've got this here. I should have 16 stitches all the way around. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do decreases, going through both loops this time, but I'm going to do decrease all the way around. And do start stuffing as it feels easiest for you or when you want to, but go ahead and do it. So you'll have 8 decreases all the way around. All right, now I've got 8 stitches all the way around, and I'm gonna just do every other stitch, do a decrease until my hole has kind of closed up, and then I can just cut off my ends. All right, so that looks pretty much closed. I'll do one more, and then I'm gonna knot off and cut. So now we finished most of this doll. However, we need to add her hands. So you can see here in the finished doll, I again didn't cut off anything because I might want her to be holding something. Actually, since this will be Our Lady Guadalupe, I'm going to be sewing her hands together into her chest in prayer, and I'll be using these ends to help with that. But this is kind of what the product we're going to be looking at, and we're going to be trying to recreate. So go ahead and take whatever color yarn you need to use for your saint's hand. And you remember, we made kind of this big circular pattern here. And so what we're going to be doing is insert your hook, insert loop through, go up 2, and then we're going to loop over into the next stitch, loop over, pull through, and then pull through again. Now you're not going to do the very last one, so these are basically going to be almost double crochets. It's just skipping the very last step. We should have multiple loops on our hook. I'm going to keep going around. If you skip one, that is fine. So loop over, go through, loop over, go through my last one, and then pull through again. Now I'm going to loop over, pull through all of the loops, and then chain 1. I'm going to cut off my piece. And I'm going to tie these together. And now we have a hand. Again, I would leave these tail ends kind of long, especially if you know this is a saint that you're going to have holding something or putting their hand in a specific position, not just leaving it out. Then I would go ahead and maybe you could go ahead and sew these ends in and cut off. But for right now, this is how I'm going to leave mine. So then you just flip over and do the exact same thing on the other side.